Welcome to Agri Business Weekly with John Jenkinson. And now, here is your host, John Jenkinson.
Today on the program, we're visiting with Kenlon Johannes. He's with the Kansas Soybean Association, Kansas Soybean Commission, based out of Topeka, but they represent all Kansas soybean farmers that are members. And Kenlon, it's good to talk to you. How have you been?
Oh, very good, John. It's been, at least things have dried off a little bit, and we're hoping for a better summer than we had spring, so we can get some crops up and growing and harvested and have a successful season this year.
There's a lot of folks that agree with that. You know, even though we got off to a little bit of a struggling start here in Kansas and around a big part of the United States, one of the things that I got to compliment you folks there for is June was a big month for Kansas soybean farmers, and there's a couple of reasons. One of them was kind of an exciting deal that's not going to benefit only soybean farmers, but also consumers. Happened in Salina, Kansas.
It sure did, John. Very exciting event. We were with Crestwood Incorporated. They make plywood, cabinets, those types of materials. And what's exciting about it is they are formaldehyde free, and which is good for houses, good for the environment. But the reason they're formaldehyde free is they've used some technology that was provided by the soybean checkoff research to create a binder in that plywood that replaces formaldehyde and replaces it with a soy product.
Now, is this something that is brand new, or has this been around a while?
Oh, it's been around enough that they had their 100 millionth panel manufactured this past month, and that was the reason for the celebration in Salina.
Well, you know, it's took a lot of research and a lot of work to come up with something like this. Not only safer for the environment, safer for people, for the consumers, as well as the workers there at that plant. And I think that speaks well to all of the work and the funding that goes into the research to find these new uses.
Well, the checkoff is really varied. You know, yes, we do some production research because it's important to Kansas and the U.S., and we do some international marketing. But you know, domestic markets are very important to us, and of course, if we can get into an industrial market with adhesives, that's very important. And again, the checkoff was very instrumental in doing the early work with this, and then also kind of selling it to the private industry so they'd try it and use it, and they found out it was a great product, and obviously they thought it was a very good product because they've been selling it for many years now.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. What were they saying in specific? How does this surpass and exceed what they were using before?
Well, what they were using before, the formaldehyde product, was pretty much common usage. It's a petroleum type product, and it kind of gives you that new car smell that you might think was always good, but we found out was not really good when you bought a new car. And in fact, I think they fake it now when you buy a new car. But they found that when they were constructing the panels and when they were in the warehouses. Many of the employees had to wear masks, or their eyes watered, or you know, they could only stay in the area for a short period of time. So it's not only helpful to, as you might have said, the people who are working on the panels themselves, those people that are constructing the cabinets, those types of things. And then when you get into the house, they have a great product line of many materials that consumers can buy, and that it's healthy for your house too. So it's a win-win-win all the way around.
What about the performance of the product? Equally or better than the original formaldehyde formula?
I would say just the same. It's a great product. Other than the lack of the toxins coming from the plywood that's made with the soy binder, it performs the same or just as good. And they can make the plywoods and wood products that they make look like anything. So it's virtually seamless, other than the fact that it's environmentally sound. And it's very little extra cost, if no cost at all, as far as to the consumer.
Plus, it uses Kansas soybeans.
Well, that's true, and we're very proud of, there's a lot of great industries in Kansas. Our farmers go out and look at them over the course of the years, at what we do, and this is one we're going to have to revisit. The United Soybean Board graciously stepped up, and of course they did most of the initial funding of, the major part of the funding for this research. But they had a nice event. We had good media coverage. Of course, you're covering it now, and it not only helps the soybean farmers by having more panels sold, but it helps the company make a better profit too, and then continue to use more soy products. So we thank the United Soybean Board for stepping up. We had Secretary of Agriculture Mike Beam there, and he gave a talk too. The Department of Agriculture has been very helpful in developing our soybean markets here in Kansas too, and we thank them for that.
Well, you got to feel good and proud that Kansas soybeans are in the national spotlight. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Kenlon about a new biodiesel blending plant that is in Kansas. We're going to do that next. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.